Midnight was only 6 hours away. The most feared Korean mafia boss in the city had one final demand before he supposedly died. He wanted her as his bride. The same woman who had publicly refused him 2 years ago and walked away without fear. Dr. Nia Okoro had no idea that the dangerous man she once rejected was about to turn her entire world upside down with one impossible offer. She didn't expect that he would fall for her instead. Chapter 1. The emergency room at Mercy General Hospital was unusually quiet for a rainy Thursday night. Dr. Nia Okoro wiped her forehead with the back of her hand, exhausted after a long shift. At 29 years old, she had seen it all: gunshot wounds, broken families, and people fighting for their lives with no money. She loved her work, but it was slowly breaking her. She was just about to update a patient chart when 4 men in perfectly tailored black suits entered through the sliding doors. Their presence instantly changed the atmosphere. Nurses froze. Patients stared. The leader, a tall man with a cold expression, walked straight toward her. "Dr. Nia Okoro," he asked, voice low and authoritative. Nia's heart skipped a beat. "Yes. You've been summoned by Jae-sung Kim." The name hit her like a punch to the stomach. Jae-sung Kim, the Shadow Dragon, the most powerful and feared Korean mafia boss in the city. 2 years ago, she had treated one of his injured lieutenants and boldly refused Jae-sung's offer to work exclusively for his organization. She had looked him in the eyes and told him she would never sell her soul to a criminal. Now they were back. "I'm in the middle of my shift," she protested, but the men were already guiding her out with firm but polite insistence. They didn't touch her roughly, but their message was clear: she had no choice. The drive to Silver Lotus Tower was silent except for the rain beating against the windows. Nia's mind raced. Her mother was battling advanced cancer. The small clinic she volunteered at was on the verge of closing due to debt. One wrong move, and everything could collapse. When the private elevator doors opened on the top floor, Nia stepped into a transformed penthouse medical wing. In the center of the room, lying on a large hospital bed surrounded by machines, was Jae-sung Kim. Even weakened, he was strikingly handsome, 34 years old, sharp Korean features, intense dark almond-shaped eyes, and a powerful, athletic build. His black hair was slightly disheveled, but his presence still commanded the entire room. He slowly turned his head toward her. "You," he said, his voice rough but still carrying dangerous authority. "I have until midnight to choose a bride, or my empire falls into the hands of my cousin. I choose you, Nia Okoro." Nia stared at him, stunned into silence. "You must be out of your mind," she finally whispered, her voice shaking with anger and disbelief. Jae-sung's lips curved into a weak but dangerous smile. "Marry me before midnight, and I will pay off every single one of your mother's medical debts, save your failing clinic, and guarantee your family's safety and comfort for the rest of their lives. Refuse, and by sunrise, everything you love will be taken from you." The clock on the wall read 6:12 p.m. Chapter 2. Nia was locked in a luxurious guest room on the top floor of the Silver Lotus Tower. The room was beautiful, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city, a king-sized bed with silk sheets, and a marble bathroom bigger than her entire apartment. But none of it brought her comfort. She paced back and forth like a caged animal, her worn sneakers silent on the thick carpet. Her mind was racing. Her mother, Evelyn, was fighting stage 3 cancer. The medical bills had piled up so high that collectors were already calling. The small community clinic where Nia volunteered was on the verge of shutting down due to unpaid rent and equipment costs. If she refused Jae-sung's offer, everything she had fought for would crumble. But if she accepted, she would be marrying a mafia boss, a man known for violence, power, and control. The same man she had once looked in the eyes and told, "I will never belong to someone like you." At 10:45 p.m., the door opened. Jae-sung's right-hand man, a tall, serious Korean man named Min-jun, entered with a thick folder. "You have 1 hour and 15 minutes left, doctor," he said calmly, placing the marriage contract on the table. Nia sat down and read every single word. The terms were clear and binding. 1 year of marriage. She must live with him. She must appear as his devoted wife in public. No divorce until the year was complete. In exchange, all her mother's debts would be cleared, The clinic would be fully funded, and her family would be protected. Her hands shook as she picked up the pen. Tears fell onto the paper as she signed her name. At 11:58 p.m., in a small private room with only a priest and 2 witnesses, Nia Okoro became Mrs. Nia Kim. Jae-sung, still connected to N4, but sitting up, slipped a massive diamond wedding ring onto her finger. His touch was surprisingly gentle. "You should have stayed far away from me when you had the chance," he whispered, his voice low and rough. Nia looked up at him, fear and defiance burning in her eyes. "I still might," she replied. Jae-sung gave a weak but dangerous smile. "We'll see." Chapter 3. The ceremony ended in under 10 minutes. Nia felt numb as she followed the guards down a long corridor to the master bedroom. Her legs felt heavy. Her mind was screaming at her that she had just sold her future to a dangerous man. The master bedroom was enormous, modern, luxurious, and intimidating. Dark wood, soft lighting, and a massive bed that dominated the center of the room. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the glittering city skyline through the rain. Jae-sung was already there. He was sitting up in bed, still connected to N4 line, but he looked slightly stronger than earlier. His black hair was slightly messy, and his sharp Korean features were striking even in his weakened state. He had changed into a black silk robe that revealed part of his muscular chest. "You can sleep in the guest room if you prefer," he said quietly, his voice low and controlled. "I'm not going to force you into anything tonight." Nia stood near the door, arms wrapped around herself protectively. Her simple white dress from the rushed ceremony felt like a costume. "Why me?" she asked, her voice trembling with anger and fear. "You could have chosen any woman in this city. Why force someone who clearly doesn't want you?" Jae-sung looked at her for a long moment. His dark eyes were intense, studying her like she was a puzzle he was determined to solve. "Because 2 years ago, you looked me in the eyes and told me you would never bow to a man like me," he said. "Everyone else fears me. They smile and submit. You didn't. You walked away without looking back. I remembered that." He slowly stood up, moving carefully because of his condition. Even weak, he was tall and imposing. "I need a wife who won't betray me. Someone with strength. Someone who isn't motivated by money or power. You fit that description perfectly." Nia's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. "I hate you," she whispered. Jae-sung gave a small, almost sad smile. "Good. Hate is honest. I can work with hate." He gestured toward the bed. "You take the bed. I'll sleep on the couch." Nia hesitated, then walked over and sat on the very edge of the huge bed, fully clothed. She watched as Jae-sung slowly lowered himself onto the long couch near the window. The silence between them was heavy. The only sound was the rain hitting the glass. After a long time, Nia spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. "If you hurt my family, I will find a way to destroy you." Jae-sung turned his head to look at her, his expression unreadable. "I don't plan on hurting you, Nia. Not unless you force my hand." Neither of them slept much that night. The tension in the room was thick, a dangerous mix of resentment, curiosity, and something neither of them wanted to name yet. Chapter 4. The first morning as Mrs. Kim felt surreal. Nia woke up in the massive bed, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then the memories of the previous night came rushing back. The contract, the rushed ceremony, the man sleeping on the couch. She sat up quickly and looked over. Jae-sung was already awake. He was standing by the window, wearing a black silk robe, looking out at the city. He seemed noticeably stronger than the night before. "You're up," he said without turning around. His voice was still a little rough, but steadier. Nia pulled the covers closer to her chest, even though she was fully dressed. "How are you feeling?" "Better than expected," he replied, finally turning to face her. Even in his weakened state, he was strikingly handsome, sharp jawline, intense dark eyes, and that commanding presence that made the air feel thinner. He walked over to a side table and poured her a glass of water. "I've already started fulfilling my part of the deal," he said, handing her the glass. "Your mother's hospital bills have been cleared. The clinic's debts have been paid. Your family is safe." Nia took the glass with trembling hands. She wanted to feel grateful, but all she felt was a deep unease. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. You don't seem like the type of man who needs to force a woman to marry him. Jae-sung leaned against the wall, studying her carefully. Because I don't trust anyone, he said simply. My cousin has been waiting for me to die or weaken so he can take everything. I needed a wife who wouldn't sell me out. Someone with principles. Someone like you. Nia looked away, her emotions swirling. Part of her hated him. Another part was confused by how gentle he was being. Over the next few days, Jae-sung continued to surprise her. He never forced her to share the bed. He gave her space. He asked about her mother's treatment with genuine interest. He even had her favorite foods delivered to the penthouse without being asked. One afternoon, while they were having lunch on the rooftop terrace, Nia finally asked the question that had been bothering her. Are you really dying? Jae-sung paused, then gave a small, almost amused smile. Let's just say my condition is not as life-threatening as I made it seem. But the threat to my empire is very real. Nia's eyes widened. So you lied? I bent the truth, he corrected. I needed a wife quickly, and I wanted you. The tension between them grew thicker every day. Small moments, his hand brushing hers, the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching, the deep conversations late at night. All of it was slowly chipping away at Nia's walls. She was starting to see the man behind the mafia boss, and that terrified her more than anything. Chapter 5. The rain fell steadily against the large windows of the penthouse, creating a soft, rhythmic sound that filled the living room. Nia and Jae-sung sat on the wide sectional couch, closer than they had been before. The takeout containers from dinner were forgotten on the coffee table. The air between them felt thick, charged with everything they hadn't said out loud yet. Jae-sung's hand slowly reached out, his fingers gently tracing the line of Nia's jaw. His touch was surprisingly tender, sending sparks racing across her skin. I've tried to stay away from you, he murmured, his voice low and rough. But every time I look at you, every time I think about how you stood up to me 2 years ago, it pulls me closer. Nia's breath trembled. Her heart was racing. She had spent days trying to keep her walls up, but in this moment, with the rain falling and the city lights glowing in the background, those walls were crumbling. She leaned in. Their first kiss was deep and hungry, full of all the frustration, attraction, and unspoken longing that had been building between them. Jae-sung's strong hands pulled her onto his lap as years of loneliness poured out. Nia's fingers tangled in his hair, soft gasps escaping as the world outside disappeared for those precious moments. The heat between them intensified quickly, his hands roaming her back, her body pressing closer to his. Just as things were about to go further. A message from the creator. Hey loves, it's your favorite storyteller here from Afro-Korean Desires TV. If you're enjoying the sweet tension and emotional pull in this story, I have something even hotter waiting for you. My latest Afro-Korean romantic audiobook, His Secret, is pure fire, intense, passionate, and filled with the kind of steamy, adult romance that YouTube simply won't allow me to tell here. Chapter 1 is completely free right now on my channel's dashboard. Go listen to it. If it makes your heart race and leaves you wanting more, the full audiobook is available on Sealer for you to enjoy every single spicy chapter. Trust me, this one is different. Now back to our story. The rain continued tapping against the window as Jae-sung gently pulled back, resting his forehead against Nia's. His breathing was uneven, his dark eyes filled with desire and restraint. I don't want to rush you, he whispered, his voice strained with control. But I need you to know, this isn't just about the contract anymore. It's about you, Nia. The way you fight for your mother. The way you still smile even when you're exhausted. The way you look at me like I'm more than just a monster. I see you. Nia's fingers curled into his shirt. She could feel his heart pounding hard under her palm. For the first time in years, she didn't want to run from the feeling building inside her. I'm scared, she admitted softly, her voice barely above a whisper. But I don't want you to stop either. Minho kissed her again, slower this time, savoring every second. His hands roamed her back with restrained passion as they held each other in the dim light of the penthouse. The promise of something deeper, something real, grew stronger with every touch.